No, I don't think. You automatically already win like some promo card is probably worth like thousands of dollars, and that it's actually probably worth like 5K if you get top two just not getting that card. Too risky.
quick thoughts on today's practice. I think there's two main takeaways, but I'll quickly go over my thoughts on each of the things we did today, starting with backhand dinking, cross court. I am realizing a lot of times now that, okay, so first off, today the ball ended up coming cross a lot more frequently than I'm initially used to. In my games, if I hit cross, normally the ball does not get returned cross at such an angle back to me. And I am too complacent or too used to pinching middle, not necessarily preparing myself to have to return back laterally out wide to return a shot. And today, there were a few rallies where I felt way pulled out of position because I was moving too much laterally, I think. Moving too much middle, trying to move back, immediately trying to move back middle, moving back. And understandably, I have to pinch middle as much as I can, right? And ideally, it's as, like close to the middle as possible, and then still have the capability to go out wide. I don't know if my lateral movement is at that capacity right now. And the takeaway I have from this is if I actually do not have a good return out wide with my backhand, I probably do not want to pinch middle as hard as I did, considering my lateral movement capabilities. If I think I hit a ball out wide that's kind of shallowish or like not very aggressive, well, maybe the cross like this becomes available, but I have to be a little bit more conservative with my positioning, or at least be more in the mindset of anticipating a ball could actually come back this way more often than when I'm currently preparing myself for. And then secondly, I guess on the topic of pinching middle, I still need to figure out my range for flicking straight and then also doing that like flick right type of movement. I'm a little bit too scared to stand in the middle and to capitalize on balls that are coming cross. I mean, I don't know how many opportunities there were today to do that because, again, the cross balls were at a pretty acute angle. But I frankly don't know my striking window or my reach for me to diagnose whether or not I missed those windows or if I made the right choice of going back laterally to try and retrieve the ball. So, I mean, overall, the backhand dinking I think is pretty decent. I was pretty happy, I think, with how I did backhand dinking today. It is the dinking parts that I work on the most. So it wasn't, it was fine, at least from my perspective. On the forehand dinking, when we're doing cross court, I found a lot of times I could not move him off the tee. I feel like 90% of the time, and I'd have to watch the video over to actually see, I feel like 90% of the time he's just right here, and I don't have the shot capability to pull him out wide. Well, on the forehand dinks, I guess I should first preface that I don't have a good shot if the ball is at my feet, and I don't really have a good defensive shot if the ball is out, pulling me out wide. Right now, I feel like most of the balls, if I'm being pulled out wide, are just like plopped around here-ish. And they're rather lofty, not really, pretty slicey, pretty slow, pretty dead, I think, in my opinion. Not the shot that I'm happy of, But I suppose on the bright side, I'm not like making too many desperation plays unless I just want to try a shot out. At least I'm like trying to neutralize the shot in the middle. It's like a very small consolidation prize. But yeah, there's so many of the shots are just landing here because I don't have a comfortable shot that I feel like I can push back out wide. And actually, I think off of memory, a lot of the shots that I did push out wide here actually originated on my backhand side because I just feel so much more comfortable hitting a backhand than a forehand dink right now. So if the ball ends up being on the backhand side, that's the only time I feel comfortable going out wide. Or if the ball is very generously placed like mid-court, not too much spin, then I feel like I can take the initiative and like create the tempo of going out wide for myself. But anything going out wide on my end or is dinked a bit deeper, if I don't take it out of the air, I feel pretty out of my depth. So 2 shots that I'll have to work on, just taking it on the forehand side, a little bit off the bounce, I guess, close to my feet, and then also cupping the ball when it's pulling me out wide. And on that note of being pulled out wide, something to experiment on, I think. On the backhand side, when I'm taking a ball that's going out wide, I feel like my feet stance is pretty wide apart, and I'm taking a large left foot step out to, it's not like a lunge, but it is a very large step. And then I'm shifting my body weight by immediately pushing back from my left foot through my body through the shot. On the right hand side, I think when I practice, again, the shots aren't as angled, and normally when I play the right hand side, I'm not necessarily pinching middle as hard. So the amount of lateral movement I have to cover is less. And I think as a direct result, when I feel pressure to do a defensive dink, I think my legs are too close together, and I don't generate enough pushback from my right leg to necessarily control the shot. In fact, I feel like because my legs are so close together, I'm like pushing too far up and back instead of pushing back and not necessarily up as much. I guess the other way to phrase it is because my legs are longer when they're stretched out, I think I'm bending my knees way more. My center of gravity is way lower, and I guess also my point of contact by extension is also lower. Whereas some part of the mechanic, and I don't have my paddle with me, but I think when my legs are too close together, I might be opening my paddle face, or again, I might not just be creating enough lateral movement back through the ball and instead be pushing upwards through too much. But yeah, something to experiment with, I guess, is increasing the length of my legs, or the distance between my legs when I do a defensive shot. Because the gap is definitely larger on the left-hand side when I lunge for my backhand, but the right-hand side, I'm like taking a bit more than a half step, but it's definitely not as large. And I think today, because the shots were wider, I felt like I had to take more lunges, and surprisingly, I think some of them felt pretty stable, more stable than how I was normally approaching it. So the last thing I guess to talk about is my counters. I think right now the ball is here, my paddle is here in anticipation, just arbitrarily I guess. And my habit right now, I think, is I like to pull back, or the theory rather, I guess, is I pull back and then I push back out. And I think the pullback is too large. There's like wrist, forearm, and shoulder, I think. Alright, I spelled forearm wrong, whatever. Right now, my pullback is so much forearm. And then I am then extending my forearm back out with my shoulder and then finishing with my wrist. It's a lot of moving parts. And what ends up happening is I'm bringing my paddle back and then I'm pushing outwards. In theory, in my head, after trying to shorten it and think about how I can shorten it, I think I should just cut the forearm out. Like, the forearm should be minimized, I think. And additionally, I think my wrist and shoulder movements should start and stop at the same time. That makes the most sense in my head. And right now, again, I'm moving my forearm back. That's one moving part. And then I am extending my forearm back out with a shoulder push as well, and then finishing with my wrist. So it's almost like 3 parts of movement before I finish my stroke. Whereas if I just keep my forearm movement relatively low and then punch with my shoulder and wrist movement together, that's like cutting a part and a half out, and it should reduce my swing time pretty substantially, in theory. The other thing to think about is sometimes the ball comes higher than I'm prepared for, and I don't want to keep my paddle too high up because I already have this nasty habit of hitting out balls. But if the ball is coming my chest height, let's say, and my paddle is here, I have the tendency, because I pull my paddle back, I am not readjusting my paddle height to match the ball. I guess to put the diagram correctly, like, I'm pulling back with my forearm, I'm then adjusting the paddle, and then I'm striking out. So it almost looks like, maybe not a square, but it looks like this, kind of. And if I'm any bit late, my paddle face is not closed, and I'm hitting up on the ball since it's a circle. Okay, let me redraw this. Let's do it this way. Like, this is kind of the range of motion that it looks like, but if I'm late and I contact the ball here, then I'm hitting up. And I think that happens less in my play and a lot more frequently today because the ball speed is higher than I'm used to. And theory, mostly theory. I feel like if I just cut the forearm drawback out or minimize it and just immediately push my paddle up and then out, then I would be ready for the ball. And even if I'm late, at least my paddle is making solid contact because it's, like perpendicular instead of like at an angle. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to break that habit, but I guess that's an idea that I think makes sense in my head and mechanically for how I would interpret, how to strike the ball better. And then in the last few days, I said to keep my elbow tucked. I think I tried my hardest to keep it tucked today, and I can't tell if it was like, I'm 99% sure that it's correct to keep my elbow tucked, but the balls were faster than I was what I'm used to, so I couldn't actually tell if my hand speed increased or not because I was late to every ball anyways again. And I guess the last thing, which I don't think I'm ready to practice yet, I'm not ready for the return counter, if that makes sense. Like, if this guy is speeding up, I'm only ready for the first counter. I'm not reanalyzing and anticipating the next counter back. Right now in my play, if I hit the counter, the point is over. Yeah. Or like the ball is popped up or something and it does not require the same level of anticipation as the first speed up. But yeah. Right? If they get the counter back, the point is also over because I'm just not ready for anything after my counter. And what I'm thinking of as well, again, is I have to be less pushy with my wrist. Because after contact, I'm using my forearm and my shoulder and my wrist. After contact, I'm still pushing with my wrist, and that is increasing my swing time before I can reset. If I minimize it again by pushing and like punching with the shoulder and wrist together and ending together, I'm thinking that the swing time will be faster and I reset faster, and therefore my paddle will be more in position to catch this next ball coming into me. But since I'm so used to the point ending right here, it almost like feels like it doesn't matter how big my follow through is, or like I'm allowed to have the luxury of having a larger follow through just because the ball returning is nowhere near as threatening in terms of pace or positioning. But in upper level play, I guess, and when people are significantly better than me, I'm not actually allowed to follow through as much as I am. So yeah, shortening my swing, making sure I think my forearm movement is minimized, and I am starting and ending my hit with my shoulder and wrists synchronized together instead of leaning with my shoulder and then finishing with my wrist. They have to be together, start to the end. I'm not gonna worry about like the return counter off of their counter off of my counter or whatever, like this ball here. I think that's for a later stage, that maybe if they hit it back and it's a good counter, whatever, good for them. I think this is the main step I want to work on before I even like hop down to here and think about the next shot. I think nailing this form will help me nail whatever steps come after, but it's kind of folly to jump further down, like to run before I can walk. And I should really nail down the mechanics of my arm and my anticipation for the first speed up, because I feel like that's the most controlled time. Like I have the most time to anticipate the ball and to view my opponent's paddle and to do whatever I need to. Everything after is going to be shorter and shorter and more frantic, and yeah, my first shot just has to be more solid before I think about anything else. So I guess this next week I'm gonna have to book some time to practice my forehand dinking, and then also practice my hands in terms of shortening my strokes. Yeah, exciting stuff, I guess. All right.